making and summary writing. What is a note? A note is a brief record of points and ideas, and it is basically an aid to your memory. Now, how is a note helpful for us? First of all, it enhances or helps in our memory. We can see the important points. It is helpful for students in the exams to prepare debates, speech, lectures, and discussions. Now, note making is the skill of writing a note. It is helpful to anyone who wants to compress a large piece of information into a brief, organized, summarized piece which can be conveniently referred to as and when required. Now, here are some important points which you should keep in mind while making a note. First of all, it must be as brief as possible. With a maximum, you can say 50 words. You have to give a title to it. You have to write it in the third person language. You should give only the bare facts and the relevant details in the note. Here are some more points which are important for note making. First of all, do not give any diagrams. You should use only words or phrases or maybe short sentences. You should write them in the logical sequence in which the data has been given. You can use abbreviations like you can CBSE for Central Board of Secondary Education, etc. Then you should use symbols. Some of the commonly used symbols I have given. And you can also use short forms for the longer words like ETC is for etc. EXP is for experience, ORG is for organization, and there are many other short forms. You can also create some of your own short forms also. This is the format of a note. You will give the title, then you can divide it into like this. You can first give a main point and number it with 1, 2, 3, all the main points. Then if the main point has further a sub point, then you can give them the numbering as alphabets, capitals A, B, C. Then if they further have sub points, you can give them Roman numbering, like you can see over here. You should use abbreviations, short forms and symbols so that you can easily refer to it whenever you need it. Summary writing. Summary is to summarize, that is to sum up the passage in your own and in fewest possible words. Generally, it is 1/10 of the words which are there in the passage. You have to write the summary in 1/10 words. Like if a passage is of 600 words, you divide 600 by 10, so you will write the summary in 60 words. It is the gist, the message of the passage. It contains only the main points. It has to be very brief. All the important information should be conveyed. You have to end with the message which has been conveyed by the author in his passage. You have to be very strict with the word limit.
Note making is a special skill that is very useful to both students and working professionals. Note making enables one to present large chunks of information in a brief, organized and clear manner. It helps aid memory. Note making has important uses. It helps us
remember important details that we have read,
refresh our memory about something we read in the past, prepare for examinations, plan essays, speeches, lectures, participate in discussions, debates. Thus, note making is a practical skill that can be used in different areas in life. Let us take a look at the basic features of note making. Notes are always brief and are written in the third person. Only relevant details or facts are included in notes. Illustrations, diagrams, long explanations are excluded from notes. Full sentences are not used. Often, phrases or even words are used to present information. All information must be presented in a logical sequence. Notes can be divided into main points, sub-points and sub-sub-points. Titles or headings may be used for main points or sub-points. Main points can be represented by numbers or capital letters. Sub-points can be represented by numbers or lowercase letters. Sub-sub-points may be represented in the following way. Abbreviations and commonly used symbols are used in notes. The abbreviations must be easily recognizable. Remember that an abbreviation cannot be used for more than one word. By following the guidelines listed above, we can make effective notes. Note making helps us to organize large chunks of information in a brief and concise manner. Let us read the passage given below. The Sun. The Sun forms a very important part of the solar system. It accounts for 98% of the total mass of the solar system. The Sun is not solid like the Earth.
Instead, it is composed of plasma.
As a result, the Sun rotates faster at its equator than at its poles. It takes about 25 days to complete one rotation at the equator and 33 days to complete one rotation at the poles. The major elements that constitute the Sun are hydrogen and helium. It is also composed of other elements like iron, nickel, oxygen, etc. The visible surface of the Sun is called the photosphere. It heats up to a temperature of about 6000 Kelvin. The core of the Sun, however, has a temperature exceeding 13 million Kelvin. The Sun also has a strong magnetic field. This is responsible for effects such as sunspots, solar flares, etc. The Sun is a life force for Earth. The light from the Sun is essential for all living things. It aids in the process of photosynthesis for plants. It also helps in the production of vitamin D. However, excessive exposure to sunlight can create serious damage in the form of sunburn, cancer, etc. The Sun has also been an important cultural symbol throughout history. The ancient Egyptian god Ra, for example, was considered the god of the Sun.
Now let us highlight the important points.
The important points have been highlighted. They are facts about the Sun, features of the Sun and other living things, and the place of Sun in culture. Using these points, we will now make notes using the guidelines we learnt earlier. The title of the notes is The Sun. About the Sun. Forms 98% of total mass of solar system. Not solid like Earth, made of plasma. Rotates faster at equator than poles. Rotation period 25 days at the equator, 33 days at the poles. Composed of hydrogen and helium. B. Features of the Sun. Photosphere. Visible surface temperature 6000 Kelvin. Abbreviation. Core temperature 13 million Kelvin. Magnetic field. creates sunspots, solar flares. C. Sun and living things. Sunlight essential for living things, photosynthesis, production of vitamin D. Overexposure to sunlight, sunburn, cancer. D. Sun and culture. Important cultural symbol in history. For example, ancient Egyptian god of the sun, Ra. These form the main points. Under most main points, sub-points appear.
Therefore, we make notes about the sun's rotation, temperatures, magnetic field, relation with Earth, cultural significance, etc.
All the information is provided in a logical sequence and no long explanations are included. We can also use abbreviations, symbols, phrases in order to make the note. Summarizing is an important studying skill. It is a shortened version of a passage written in one's own words. A summary always covers the essential points of the original passage. It presents large chunks of information in short, cohesive sentences. A summary can be used to sum up information, to present information concisely, to state the main or essential points without any detailed explanations, to refer to a body of work, to give examples of several points of view on one subject. Let us take a look at the guidelines for summarizing a passage. They are as follows. Read the passage. Make a note of keywords, main points or arguments and topic sentences. Try to form a brief outline of the passage. Use the outline to form a summary of the passage. However, use your own language to convey the ideas. Use some key words in the summary and accordingly give a title for the summary. Avoid technical language. Write in simple and understandable English. The summary must be objective and written in third person. Illustrations, examples, quotations, etc. can be omitted. Replace long phrases with single words and use participial clauses instead of full clauses. Write a rough draft, edit it and adjust the length. Follow the original organization of the passage. Compare the summary to the original passage for accuracy. Check the draft for spelling mistakes, punctuation, grammatical errors. Form a fair draft of the summary. Remember, there is no specific length for a summary. It must only be brief and present the essential points. Read the passage given below on the sun. Before we summarize this passage, it is important for us to identify the main points. This will make it easier to create a summary. The main points listed in this passage are the rotation of the sun, the elements that constitute the sun, the layers of the sun, the advantages as well as the harmful effects of the sun, and the sun as a cultural symbol. We have identified the main points in the given passage. Given below is an example of a poorly written summary. Let us read the summary. The solar system. The sun has an important cultural place in the solar system. The major elements that constitute the sun are hydrogen and helium. We have seen the sun rotating very fast at its equator. The core of the sun is hot. The sun causes processes like photosynthesis and formation of vitamin D. I think the sun is bad because it causes sunburn and cancer. The sun has a god. There are numerous problems with this summary. While the title of the original passage is The Sun, the title of the summary is The Solar System. The original passage, however, deals only with the sun. This poorly written summary does not follow the order of information. In fact, it mixes points together. The summary is not written in the third person and uses the pronouns we and I. Essential points like the photosphere and effects like solar flares and sunspots are not included in the summary. It is obvious that the passage has not been accurately understood by the writer. Sentences like "The sun has an important cultural place in the solar system" and "The sun has a god" show a lack of understanding of the original passage. Therefore, this is an example of a poorly written summary. Let us now use the guidelines for summarizing a passage and form a fair summary. Let us read the summary. Facts about the sun. The sun has an important place in the solar system. The sun rotates at a faster speed at its equator. The major elements that constitute the sun are hydrogen and helium. The core of the sun is hotter than the photosphere and creates effects like solar flares and sunspots. The sun aids in processes like photosynthesis and formation of vitamin D. However, it also has harmful effects such as sunburn and cancer. The sun is also a cultural symbol. While the title of the original passage is The Sun, the title of the summary is Facts about the Sun. This title accurately captures the subject of the passage. All the main points are listed and the summary is written in the third person. Therefore, this is an example of a fair summary.